Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome to The Link. The Link is a show put on by APLA Health with collaboration with Pyro Media and, of course, funded by the CDC. As you can see, I'll wait. As you can see, it's just me. Just kidding. We have so many things going on that, everyone's really, really busy, but that's okay because I have everyone covered. I have brought three amazing individuals. They are the substance abuse team on the prevention department, and I am so excited to have them. So please, everyone, give a warm welcome to Billy Joe, to Roger, and to Nigel. Ooh.
Hello, everyone. How you doing, Kai? Thank you so much for having us. So just to introduce myself again, my name is Roger Cediles. I'm the program manager of the substance abuse programs here at APLA Health, running the Project Impact, and the Partywise program.
And he's not a black screen, everybody. Roger, are you having technical difficulties right now?
Am I? Oh, no, that's horrible.
We'll keep going. Who's next?
I'll take the lead. Hi, everyone. My name is Billy Joe. I'm the prevention training specialist for the Partywise program. The Partywise program tries to link individuals who are MSMs, men who have sex with men, to services such as HIV testing, STD testing, PrEP, PEP, and the like.
Hi, everyone. I'm the prevention training specialist for Project Impact, an initiative and behavioral intervention for young queer men of color aged 18 to 24 to empower them and link them with HIV care and prevention stuff. So,
but it's.
Oh, hey, Roger, we can see you now. You okay?
Can you see me now?
Yeah. So, now that we're all here and everyone can see Roger's amazing, handsome face, we are here today to talk about something that's going on that a lot of people I don't think know. Health right now is so focused on COVID-19, and we'll definitely get there. But we wanted to talk about something that relates specifically for all of our programs, and that's ending the HIV epidemic. And I thought, who better to bring on than this amazing team? If you all missed last week, then I'm so sorry, but go watch our National Youth HIV/AIDS Awareness Day panel. Billy and Nigel were amazing.
Amazing, yes.
And you can always see all of these wonderful faces every Wednesday at 3 p.m. for The Plug right here. But Roger, why don't you tell us what's going on today? What are we talking about?
Yes, sure. So I prepared some visuals for everybody watching so that I could go over a little bit on just introducing what EHE is and then the HIV epidemics. And so let's start with that, and then we can start with our conversation today. Sounds good?
exciting.
Hey.
Come on, presentation.
Yes, thank you so much. So let's talk about EHE, what it is, and the role that we have in the fight against HIV. Okay, next, please. So some of you may already heard it before, because I know the link also covered about EHE before with our PrEP, program, and so you might hear about it before as well. But so just to refresh your mind, so this is a national initiative known as Ending the HIV Epidemic, or EHE for short. This initiative has a 5-year national goals to reduce HIV by 75%. And by 2025, and 10-year goal to reducing HIV by 90% at year 2030. It was announced by the White House administration in February 2019, with implementation beginning in 2020. Next, please. So just to give you folks some ideas of the current numbers, in the LA County alone, there are more than 57,000 people living with HIV. And so that's a number that we should all know about. Okay, so let's go next, please. In response to the new initiative, the LA County created a proposed EHE plan with similar outcomes of decreasing annual number in infections, increasing diagnosis, and increasing viral suppression, focusing on at-risk population that includes Black, African-American, men who have sex with men, or MSM, or MSM as is known as well, Latino MSM, women of color, persons who inject drugs, transgender people, and youth age 29 or younger. Utilizing these 4 key EHE pillars as shown in the slide, we'll be able to expand on these pillars today, and on the second part of this conversation scheduled to take place by the end of April, hopefully, as they all relate to the services available to our community through the substance abuse programs at APLA Health and the prevention department. Next, please. We are conscious that EHE will only be successful if we are able to spread awareness about HIV and EHE. So here are some of the available resources to further educate, inform ourselves about EHE and the resources available to our community in general. So the We Are Getting Ahead dashboard, if you can see it on the slide, is one of the many great tools available to our community, as it provides national, state, and local data of EHE indicators, so to let us know where we are in our goals. So we also encourage everyone to join the LA County Commission on HIV monthly meetings, inform themselves about EHE updates, and be part of the change in HIV prevention and treatment planning for the county. You can do that by applying to become an LA County Commissioner. The LA County Commission meetings are held virtually every second Thursday of the month from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. You can get more information on how to do this by visiting hiv.lacounty.org, as it shows it in the slide. You can also give us a call if you need more information about that. We're going to give you our numbers just in a minute. So next, please. So get involved, spread the word, educate yourself and others about HIV and reduce stigma, get tested for HIV, learn about PEP, PrEP, U=U, which we can all talk about that today as well, and other tools to reduce the number of HIV transmission. And if you're not able to be part of the conversation today, please reach out to APLA Health, the substance abuse team, the prevention department team. You can reach out to us at 323-736-2008. Thank you. That's all the slides that I have, guys.
Roger said, I have a PowerPoint. You will sit and you will listen, and gave all the time.
Yes,
Thorough King.
Thank you so much for all of that information, Roger. So that's what we're talking about today, everybody. We are really going to sit down and have a conversation about what this means, where we're at, what does it mean for people like us working in the field, and even for people who aren't working in the field, who are just living, having sex, living their best life during COVID. So I guess my first question for all of you, as I said earlier in the show, 2020, 2021 so far, everything we've been talking about is COVID. Miss Rona, she came into the party and she said, I'm the star. I need to have all the attention. This started in 2020. So do you think, whoever wants to start, you definitely go for it. Do you think that because of where we're at right now with the coronavirus, and, I know from my program, we haven't tested really on a mass scale like we used to in about a year. Do you think that COVID-19 might hinder this plan or might be a significant barrier for the future?
I can go first. So there was actually a lot of readjustment for the initiative because it was launched in 2019 and it was beginning to be implemented in 2020. So it shifted primarily its focus to telehealth over the last year. So utilizing accessing resources like calling for PrEP and having PrEP delivered to people was an initiative that they really pushed over the last year. So I don't think it's necessarily causing barriers, but maybe forcing us to be a little bit more intuitive with how we give care to people.
Yeah, also a lot of the accumulation of data from our clients that we see, myself more so on the substance use and substance abuse side, a lot of the data collection is beneficial in some of the pillars associated with ending the HIV epidemic, such as diagnosing individuals as soon as possible. So new HIV infections with the accumulation of data and telehealth, video chatting with clients and or phone call conversations, I found that individuals are more at liberty to talk open and candidly about the things that are affecting them. So Rona may have had the spotlight, but substance use and prevention, if you're used to being in the spotlight, you know how to steal the spotlight. So we're still good.
I definitely agree with the guys, and so definitely there was a challenge in the beginning because we all had to find new ways to work with our community, and obviously this is part of it. The link, the plug, things like this help us work with our community. So definitely there were some challenges, not necessarily a step back, because I think, like the guys said before, there are some other things that we have been able to achieve or in a different way with this new way of doing things. So yes. To answer your question.
Yeah, go ahead, Billy.
Oh no, well, part of the initiative also is, having HIV testing and health education not being in so many health-oriented environments. So, like taking health into your own home. Here at APLA Health, we have the Swab and Chill program that sends out HIV tests. I know that Daniel is usually on the link and talking
Shout out
openly about
Daniel.
Shout out.
Daniel J. But yeah, taking HIV testing and health education outside of health-oriented environments and into the homes has been really beneficial.
Mhm.
Well, can I just say it? This is the first question. I'm sitting here like, ooh, look at you all knowing your stuff. I love it. I love it. Thank you all so much for coming so prepared. So then here's the next question I have, because we're definitely talking about substance use, right? All three of you work specifically around substance use and how it plays with HIV. What does this mean for people who are actively using in treatment for HIV or prevention for HIV? What steps do you think should be implemented, are going to be implemented, just to kind of achieve this goal?
May I?
Okay.
Well, we're all about empowering and advocating for our clients, and if anything, the hard hit communities of substance users and individuals maybe trying to access HIV medical resources and services to advocate for themselves a little bit more so than normally due to the constraints put on to us by coronavirus over the past year and a half. And it has definitely caused individuals that work in health services to have to work harder to obtain and get to the clients that need the assistance the most. Yet also it's caused a lot of empowerment with clients to take their own health into their own hands.
Right. I just needed to add to that a lot of people who were not using before COVID relapsed, unfortunately. I mean, there was a lot of depression going on, a lot of, you stop seeing your support network, whatever that
Isolation.
is, your friends, right, isolation by itself. And so it's just that part right there is already complicated for any of us, and more for someone who's dealing with a substance use or an addiction, right? And so that's something that we're conscious of, that we know and that we're conscious of, and then we know and we try to work with our clients to help them get back to where they are, where they were, or they want to be, or just whatever goal they have, even if it's not the same one they had before, but just try to assist them and help them in any way we can.
Education is still and will always be the key. There are individuals that still aren't knowledgeable of the fact that an undetectable individual with HIV is untransmittable to another individual. So continued information and education is always going to help us.
Yeah, and I think another caveat to that, I've also seen just with some of my own clients that actually being able to, the situation with COVID has helped them stop using because there are certain situations that they can no longer be in that will facilitate certain substance use. So I think that's also another really important point. Yes, there have been some negative effects, but for some people it's been really beneficial because it's removed them from spaces in which people were facilitating this type of behavior and like encouraging it. So
Yeah,
I think
that makes sense, especially for people who are doing things like party drugs and things like that. Parties are happening. You still get them, but you're probably less likely to do it. And because some people really do only use while they are in situations like that. So great. So Roger, I have a question for you. And this might be a little bit a curveball. This wasn't one of our approved questions. Be prepared, everybody. So I had to go through my questions with Roger. But you have been in this field and you're an expert. I would consider you probably one of the most knowledgeable people about this topic at APLA, right? You've been in the field working this. Do you feel that these goals that are set by the EHE are obtainable for people who are actively using right now?
I think they are. I think the most important part here that we need to remember is to get the community involved. A lot of times we just focus on the person that has the problem, but what about the mom, the brother, the family members, the friends? I mean, if we are ignorant about about everything that happens to a substance user, then we're not going to be able to support that person. And so I think that in order for us to end the HIV epidemic, we need to be all involved in the fight. That teacher, that everybody, you know what I mean? And we need to regulate these conversations at home too. I know that for my Latino community, a lot of people don't talk about sex or other ways that you can get HIV, because not necessarily through sex, right? And so we did talk about this on our episode last week, right? And so there are so many other ways that people can get HIV, not just sex, but but let's talk about it. Why not sex? Even if it sounds so taboo in our communities, in our homes, that should be a conversation that we should have with our kids, with our teenagers. Teenagers have sex, people. So, remember that too. A lot of times, oh, my kid, no, he's only 17. He will never have sex. I mean, I started having sex when I was 15. Oops. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, people are having sex.
I was almost 18, but yeah, okay. Thank you so much for that, Roger. That actually brings me to a really great next question that I had, because you kind of hit on it. And then Billy and Nigel, definitely feel free to chime in.
Oh, yeah.
How important is it for the community, right? How can we really include the community in all of this? Because like Roger said, this isn't something that can be done on an individual kind of basis. Yes, it is important for us to all take our own individual care for ourselves, but it is about community. And especially for communities of color, community is basically our foundation for a lot of us. So how do we include the community?
I think we're doing it right now. This is part of it, right? Just talking about EHE in general, it's not just for the people that will come to my program, your program. You see what I'm saying? It's for everyone, and everybody can take a stand and can take a place where they can make decisions on how we're going to deal with the HIV epidemic. Go ahead, Tyson.
It's so hard right now to get yourself physically into an area with all of the restrictions that have come on from coronavirus. Yet, if we're talking about community, we need to think about, just like how Roger talked about, all the different populations that we don't assume, HIV and substance abuse to be present in. And then we find a way, we put our money where our mouth is, and we find a way to inform leaders in certain areas, such as youth leaders in areas, religious leaders, if we're talking about community, where conversations don't happen on these topics. We find a way to at least be a resource for individuals in those different communities, so that there is a lifeline for anybody that comes along that might be affected in a way that we might be able to assist them, that they know to contact someone. They know to contact Billy Joe. They know to contact Nigel. They know to call Roger.
Not Kai.
And Kai Smith. Kai. Jador. I love you.
I just wanted to add, I think initiatives like this really work based on word of mouth and whether or not people actually trust us and organizations and stuff like this. So I think the fact that we've been disseminating information, I feel really well over COVID here at APLA Health. So just word of mouth, empowering people, teaching people little things that they can pass on to other partners, anyone, their friends, family, anything that can protect them from sexual health. I think it's really important to have these candid conversations, because like Roger was saying, a lot of different kinds of people are having sex. Some people we wouldn't even assume or think or would like to be having sex, they're doing it. It gets to a point where I'm just screaming at the void, because I'm a really big proponent for teaching kids about sexual health. But people, we have such a good, puritanical little society, right? That is so against that, and it just pisses me off so much. But
come on, puritanical society.
Anyone watching, Nigel's one of my favorite people, because I'm this close to being from anarchist, watch it all burn, and Nigel feeds into it sometimes. I'm yes, do it.
I'm very anti-capitalist sometimes.
So here's a question that I have for everyone, obviously. So we know for this EHE, it's about ending the epidemic, and we work in prevention. That is what we do. For us, it's, yes, we definitely help people who have HIV, but our goal is to prevent it from happening. What do you think some of the biggest tools that we have, or that we are going to start implementing, are going to be super, super important for prevention? And it's like a 3-letter, 4-letter word, if anyone was wondering what I'm fishing for.
About PrEP?
Yeah, what's that?
Oh my gosh. PrEP is an amazing little pill called pre-exposure prophylaxis that you can take once a day to significantly reduce your chance of contracting HIV.
And
Thank
also,
you.
there's PEP out there, which is a post-exposure prophylaxis that within the first 72 hours of an unprotected sexual encounter, if you're weary about the potential for an HIV transmission to have happened, because you don't know the partner you had sex with, it was really dark that night, you can contact one of the PrEP facilitators at APLA Health and get post-exposure prophylaxis as well.
Yeah, so
Yeah, there's all kinds of great prevention.
And also there is U equals U, which is undetectable equals untransmittable. So that's important for people to know. A lot of people don't believe in this science. It's important for you to get yourself informed and learn about it. Yes.
yeah, and the reason why, for anyone out there wondering, I'm not testing these people. I know everyone knows all of these things, but I think it's
We know what we're talking about, yeah.
we all know, Judah, but I think it's important that we really do have these conversations, especially for right now. We're seeing a heavy push for PrEP for, people who are considered the highest at risk, MSM, so men who have sex with men who are Black, Latino. Well, there are other people, right? We also see a very high push for PrEP for like the trans community. But we also need to recognize kind of what Roger was saying. Women of color are now at a very high rate of infection, Black women in particular. So PrEP isn't just for, someone who goes to West Hollywood. It isn't just for someone who is going to orgies or anything like that, right? This is for something that for a lot of people, it can be super useful, even for someone who might be using who might be a substance user. There are definitely kind of challenges that come along with, doing that daily medication. Some of us have issues with that, can't even take a vitamin, but it is something that I think, we talk about it all the time, but, this is me standing on my soapbox preaching. I think PrEP and PEP and U equals U are really what's going to change it for us, right? Condoms, we've been pushing condoms, and yes, we understand that condoms work, but we also understand condoms only work when people work, and when people do it, and people aren't always doing the right thing or don't always have the right know-how. If you could just take a pill or maybe one day an injection, why wouldn't you, right?
May I add something to that?
Okay.
I kind of lost my thought, but I gotta say that in a study that was done about 5 years ago in San Francisco, they look at substance users who were taking the medication, their HIV medication, and they were actually successfully taking the HIV medication. And so if that was happening, I can see how PrEP could be also something that actually works for people who are having substance using problems. So, just sharing that, putting that out there too.
And if our objective is to end the HIV epidemic, if we think about past years and past decades of education, how education was really streamlined or pigeonholed to one population, and we're talking about PrEP and PEP, which is more so than not publicized for, men who have sex with men, having versions for these different populations that have a high efficacy is of the highest importance as well. Making sure that we have PrEP-like medications for trans women, for trans men that are specific towards their bodies, that are specific towards cis women of color.
Yeah.
Also, I'd like to add, because I went to a brown bag lunch session I'm sure you all are familiar with, and I actually went with one, and it was specifically about like new HIV, like PrEP types and stuff. So in the next coming years, they're going to have injections. There are also going to be pills that you can take less frequently, so every other day and every other couple, or maybe even once a month. I think it's a really exciting time for PrEP and HIV prevention stuff, and I actually want to talk about it a little bit and what's popping, because I was reading some stuff that I'm really excited to talk about too, but we can get into that later.
I love it. I love when people are right.
Sure, not Joel.
So before we go, because we're about to hit to our first commercial in about 4 minutes, here's a question that I have for all of you, and just kind of keep this as short and sweet, if you will, as I had this long explanation. What do you think the role of stigma is going to play for this? Do you think stigma is going to be a barrier for all of this to occur, right? We know stigma exists. Do you think this is a significant barrier, or do you think this is something that we're going to be able to overcome easy and quickly?
In my opinion, I wouldn't say that it will be easy and quickly, but I will say that it's a barrier that we can overcome if, once again, everyone from every part of the community is involved.
I think some of the hardest conversations about our American society are happening as of right now. So I think that stigma needs to be out the door. And if we don't make it a barrier, it won't be a barrier.
Yeah, for sure. I think stigma is something that we can overcome. It's a very powerful thing, but I think we can get through it. It's just like a word of mouth thing, talking about it, making sure like everything is okay. We can have these candid conversations. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, great. Thank you all so much for that first part. So as Roger was alluding to earlier, these gentlemen are going to be back. So not next week, the last Tuesday of April. Yeah, they're all going to be back, and we're going to get really like hot and heavy, if you will, or really dig deep into kind of what they do and the services they provide. So I want to thank you all so much. I want to thank you for your expertise. I want to thank you for all the wonderful and amazing information. I learned a couple of things here, and I work in the field, so we're all learning. Everyone, learn, 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 learn. But we are going to take our first commercial break, and I think this commercial is going to be. Oh no, this commercial is a little bit different. Normally, it's our swab and till commercial, but we have a surprise for everyone. So, the commercial.
Oh. This is crazy.
Come on, production.
I was dancing here. Level up. Level up.
That's my coworkers. Those my coworkers.
Wow.
So as everyone sees, the link has been renewed for a second season. So season 2 is coming. We're starting next week. No breaks. No breaks.
No breaks.
For,
club. Plus another club.
Oh, here we go. Thank you, Byro, for putting that on and creating that. Shout out to our executive producer, Kwame, who is running everything back behind the stage and doing this. So super, super more. There's going to be new images, everything. So I'm so excited. And I hope the team is watching and they got to see that as well, because I can't stop cheesing about that. That's the coolest thing ever. I'm living a fantasy doing this, everyone, just so we're now.
Calm down, Beyonce.
Yeah. I'm definitely more of a Kelly. I think I'm feeling.
Yeah, no, done.
I appreciate that. So let's get into kind of one of my favorite sections, and I'm excited to do this with you all. What's poppin'? So for those who don't know, What's Popping is our time to sit down and talk about what's going on in our communities, what's going on social media, what's happening in the news, just something that we have been seeing a lot of. So I let everyone know here, and I told them they had to come with things. So I'm so mean to them. But I love it.
Should we start with the fun stuff or the boring stuff? Because if it's the boring stuff, I can start.
Nothing is boring here. It's all
Just
useful
checking.
information.
But so, well, I was looking at the news today, and as you know, the FDA and the CDC called for a pause on the Johnson & Johnson vaccine for COVID. And I had just had some friends get the vaccine yesterday, and that was called today, right? But then I started reading and investigating a little bit more, and I learned that it's actually a way just to prevent that that nothing else is going to happen. But they don't really know if the cases of, because it caused like to 6 women ages 18 to 48 clots, right? And so after they got the vaccine, and so, but they don't know if necessarily has to do with the vaccine, or it's just coincidence that these 6 people out of 1,000 or 7,000 people, I guess, that has get the vaccine, 7 million, I'm sorry, they have to get the vaccine, really are being affected by it. So, they're investigating. It's nothing that it's known. They're just investigating for now. Yeah.
Some of the news broadcasts I've seen about that are actually that the type of blood clot is so specific that that's why they're trying to make a comparison about whether or not it is due to the fact of Johnson & Johnson vaccines or if it just happens to be a little flash in the pan group.
Right. And I have a little bit more information. Everyone's adding a different layer. So one of the reasons that makes this so dangerous is it's not just the clot. Because I know a lot of people are saying, 6 people out of almost 7 million having blood clots for it. Like that doesn't seem like a huge enough risk for them to stop this, especially when we talk about things like birth control, where, a large portion of women in the country are on birth control. And that is one of the side effects. And I read this, what's making this specifically a little bit, where people are wanting to stop is because not only is it causing blood clots, it's also causing a thinning of blood platelets. So the medication that they would use to treat the blood clots, they can't do that because then for the blood thinner, because they don't have the right kind of blood going. So it could cause a lot of bleeds and further issues. So that's another reason why. But yeah, so everyone out there, if you got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, I don't want you to freak out, right? I think a lot of people are like really, really freaking out. You're okay. But if you are severe headaches, abdominal pains, severe leg issues, call your physician, go to a doctor, get it checked out. But if you just feel like you got a little cold, that's probably a side effect.
Right.
That just means your immune system is working.
Kai, can you repeat that? What the symptoms are that you should be looking at?
Yeah. So the symptoms are extreme headache. And this isn't like a headache because you haven't eaten all day, you haven't had anything to drink, whatever, stress, sinus. This is extreme headache, like close to migraine. If you're having extreme abdominal pain as well, or if you're having leg pain, a lot of times blood clots will start in the leg and then travel up into the brain. So if you feel like, ouch, you got something really going on with your leg, then go ahead and, call your doctor. If you don't have one, definitely go to like an urgent care or see something just to get it checked out. But don't panic. Even at APLA, we've had people calling, asking about what they should do if they've already gotten it or if they were going to get it. Don't panic. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine isn't inherently dangerous. They just want to check a couple things. Vaccines work, people. Don't use this to discredit vaccines. So yeah.
Come on, public health professional.
Right.
I'd like to add on something, if y'all don't mind. I'll keep it like somewhat academic since we're in the realm. And since we were talking about HIV and stuff today, there's actually some really new promising vaccine technology that they found because of COVID and I've been reading about. So this one particular scientist, I guess she had like this fascination with this certain kind of messenger RNA. And she became so obsessed with the research and she like lost her job because of it. But it ended up being really beneficial for like COVID vaccine development. And they're starting to implement it for HIV vaccinations as well. And initial trials have been showing very promising results. So I'm really excited to see that and see maybe we'll have a vaccine in a couple of years.
Ooh, we just need the money. Yes.
Right.
Thanks, Dolly.
I always see things like that and I'm always like, oh, will it happen? Because I'm like, does it pique the interest of certain organizations that do certain things, and I'm just like, I'm trying to be optimistic.
A really great conversation. A lot of people are pointing out that, the HIV epidemic has been going since the 70s and we haven't been able to find a cure. But all of a sudden with COVID-19, it was definitely we have a vaccine within a year. And I always like to tell people it's because money went into it, right? The resources are there. It's just, if they're not allocated there, then it's not going to happen.
Money went into it because it was something that was affecting everybody versus a population that somebody in the mass majority of the population might have looked down upon in subsequent decades beforehand as well.
Ooh.
Did you give me some historic trauma?
Yeah. I love this.
But yeah, and I think that's a really, really important thing to note. Today, my big theme is don't discredit vaccines, right? Just the COVID vaccines, I know there was a lot of things happening, but there are reasons for things. So yeah.
Come on, yeah.
So Billy, anything going on in the world that you want to know? Nigel, I'm coming back for your second one. I know the other one. We'll come
Oh no, they have something good brewing over there for sure. I wrote down that I wanted to talk about the real world. If we're going to be honest here, in pop culture, I am a kid of the 90s and I watched every season of The Real World, and it was probably what led me into sociology. Just the the watching of interpersonal human interactions. So they just on Paramount Plus brought back the original cast from 1991 of the Real World from New York 30 years later to relive and rehash out all of the very public issues, arguments, and like experiences again, and got to I guess like open up some old closets. It's just really good TV right now. Conversations on race, homophobia, the progress of women of color in rap. Oh God, it's just there's so many conversations that are happening that didn't happen 30 years ago.
Yeah. And I always like to point, because I actually started watching this last night. How funny. So watch the first episode, and they really point out this was the first time reality TV existed. This was the archetype. Not everything that we know about reality TV came from the Real World. Season 1. Then
Julie Gentry thought that she was going on a New York version of 90210 where it was going to be like given a script. And then she realized, no, the story's about her.
Yeah. And it was even like when they brought all the people in, they were all like musicians and artists, and it was kind of pitched as like this is artists coming together. One of the cast members, she was a rapper at the time, and they thought, this was gonna be great for her career, and so she had no idea kind of what was coming into it, but it was a great starting point.
And there was one person on there, Kevin Powell, former writer for Vibe magazine, who basically has lived their life pre and post as having this connotation of the angry black man on camera. And one of the conversations was that happened on a subsequent episodes goes back to when the Rodney King riots were happening in the 90s, and Kevin was expressing to his housemates, aside from Heather B, issues in that person's day-to-day life, interacting with populations such as the police, and how they do a great side-by-side comparison from 30 years ago to today, and the same conversation happening. Check it out.
Yeah. If you have Paramount Plus, check it. It is really cool. They also have all the seasons of Real World on there. So if you have a favorite like me, Las Vegas, go check it out.
Vegas.
I'm going to do my kind of pop culture thing for today. I do want to say what I'm about to say is going to be a little bit emotionally charged. I am feeling a lot of things right now. Being a Black man in America right now seems very, very hard. It's heavy. If you don't know, right now we are watching the trial of George Floyd's murderer, and it's been going on for about 2 or 3 weeks. The prosecution just rested today, so now the defense is starting to go up. So as Black humans, as Black people watching this, it's like reliving trauma all over again. And then we add on the murder of Dwayne Wright yesterday, right? We saw this police officer, and we saw a video of this police officer shoot this young man, take his life from him for a traffic stop. And I know for me, I am exhausted. I am tired. And I can say this, I'm going to also preference my opinion, but I can say this unequivocally. The police as a system does not work. And I have not seen any kind of proof that it does. And I stand by my personal belief of abolishing the police. You can't do it. And especially when you go into the fact that, this young man was shot when she said, I thought it was the taser. And we know 25-year veteran, you don't know what side of your hip your taser is on. 25-year veteran, you don't know kind of the weight differences. When we talk about other organizations or other professions, if a nurse were to mess up and accidentally kill somebody, they are fired, trialed, and can serve jail. Why does that not happen for the police officers? Whether it was an accident or whether it was intentional, George Floyd. So that's where I'm at right now. And I'm having a hard time kind of watching all of this on social media. So, and I also put this out there for anyone who is not Black. And if you are sharing videos, posting videos of things like this, be mindful. These are triggers for a lot of people, and this is trauma. So please, please don't feel that you have to share the image. It's enough to talk about it. You don't need to see it. And unfortunately, I saw the video of the young man getting shot, and I had to take time out for that. That was a lot. I want to hear everyone else's opinion on it. How's everyone doing? What are we thinking?
I want to thank you really fast, if I may, on talking about this, because ignorance plays a large part into the dissemination of information that goes out there. Like I might have been more prone to try and promote the information of what happened, yet I didn't for a second think about the trauma that I would be unloading onto my friends associated with that. So I just want to start off by saying thank you. And thank you for the expansion of my mind as to this sensitive subject. And that's what I have to say as of right now.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's always very scary to talk about these subjects because I want to be supportive, and at the same time, there are a lot of times that things can take out of context, or you might say just the wrong thing because you might have something that you are ignorant about. I mean, we could all be that, okay? And so I try to keep my conversation to my close friends about these things because they know my intentions, But a lot of times when I see in social media people putting things that they believe to be the right thing to say, it's completely wrong. And it's offensive and it's sad and it's just not right. And so I think that, in my opinion, it's just that I think people need to be more careful of what they're going to say. And then if they're going to support, like there's different way of support without just, saying a bunch of things that they shouldn't be saying, if he didn't do this or if he didn't do that, that wouldn't happen to you. Because me as a person of color, if I am driving and I'm stopped, I could also be killed, And so, and then the other part is that people don't think of it, or don't think of colorism, don't think there's a lot of layers of racism and colorism and all of these things that also affect us as a community of colors, and people don't think of that, right? So it's important for us to support the Black community because it's also defending our own selves and our own communities, and I think that that's the part that people are forgetting.
I'd definitely like to echo what Kai said. I think the police should be abolished. I have never seen a situation, both personally and in the media, where police have ever de-escalated or helped situations. Just in my own personal life, I have never felt safe around a cop. And just in conversations in my community and my peers, I've always been told by my family, I'm Hispanic first and a person second to most of these people. And they're on these weird power trips and they just want to oppress people, and it's sick. And I think the entire institution needs to be taken down and built up again, maybe in some new way with more mental health experts and people who actually care and are compassionate about other human beings and making sure people are safe.
Right. And Roger, I do want to bring in something. Thank you all so much for that, because I know this conversation for a lot of people is really hard, and you're doing it publicly. But Roger, you brought up a really good point where a lot of people are saying if he would have done this or these kind of stipulations would have needed to be met. But then it also goes into the play, which is where I'm dealing with a lot now, is who gave police the right to kill, right? That isn't part of the job description. Why is that? Then we talk about, this is in Minnesota, where we have seen the death or the murder of Philip Castro, where we saw the murder of George Floyd. And now we're seeing this. Every single time there was supposed to be retraining that was supposed to happen, de-escalation, millions of dollars were put into this budget, and it's not working. So why are we still putting money into these programs? Why are we still putting money in these organizations? And then for me, having family members who either are in the police force or, know people in the police force, for them to say, well, these are just a few bad cops. And this is, once again, I'm going to preference it, my opinion. And when people tell me that, I give them a full stop. If one bad cop exists, there can be no good cops if they don't address it. If it's not being addressed, then there's nothing happening, and you're just as bad. Complacency of the failed system is just as evil. But that's me.
It's a lot of ego associated there, Kai. A lot of ego associated with American ideals of what corrections are, and to abolish that would be to basically say that you were wrong about something, and to think that American corrections aren't just an evolution of slavery in America. Is exactly what's happening.
Yeah, and I want to point out too, also what's all of this is happening, and the CDC just announced 5 days ago as racism as a health disparity in communities of color. And this is a fact. And it's not just in the hospitals. It's not just in like, symptoms of like getting sick. It is things like this. This is a killer. Police are killers for people of color. And the CDC says it. They say this. Racism is a killer. And yet we still have to quantify why Black Lives Matter, right? We still have people who every time a Black Lives Matter comes up, it's all lives matter. Why are we quantifying? We shouldn't have to at this point. So, but
we're quantifying because of the number of dead bodies that we have to see on a weekly basis.
Kai, sending you a hug from all the way over here.
Thank you all. And for everyone out there, if you are feeling anything like me, and also keep in mind my privilege, so I get to walk around and I don't have the same worries as someone like my father, my cousins, my uncles. Like I don't have that same fear, but I fear for them. And I recognize my privilege, but I also recognize I have a platform. I have, whether people like it or not, you're watching right now. So I'm going to say it, and I'm going to bring these conversations up because it's important. But Nigel, I want to have that conversation you brought in of the topic. So we're going to do a sidestep a little bit, everyone, like complete sidestep. But Nigel.
On a little bit of a lighter note, there's been some stirrings on Twitter because hashtag buy art pop on iTunes is trending, and now Lady Gaga is considering releasing Art Pop Volume 2. And just I was a big fan of Art Pop. It's my favorite Lady Gaga album, and it's also the best one in my opinion.
How dare you?
I just speak facts, so
Yes.
Of course.
I mean, Art Pop was a moment. People hated on it so bad, but it was really good. Like, art, literally.
What's your favorite song off of the original Art Pop album?
The original? I love Aura.
Oh. I said
Aura.
Everyone keeps talking over each other.
Donatella. I think that's the best one.
Donatella.
I love Venus.
Okay. I didn't like Art Pop the first time around. I'll be honest. I was one of those people who didn't like it. Going back, listening to it, yeah, I get it. But I think what's really interesting about this is we're seeing once again the power of the fans, right? She was bullied to not release a second album. The person who at that point in time was literally the biggest pop star in the world. It seemed like no wrong move Lady Gaga could make. Art Pop came out and she really said it was a lot for her, and she didn't release the second one because of it. So I think it's so magical, if you will, that, if we support our artists, they will put out more of kind of what we like. But it's a double-edged sword too.
Oh yeah, crowdsourcing and crowdfunding as well for like littler known artists, not like Lady Gaga necessarily. That's how some artists actually get to put on another album, is by the crowd showcasing an interest and a desire for more music and art.
So
I just wanted to say that I wanted to share with you that I met Lady Gaga in 2007 when I started working at APLA Health. I was sent to a conference to do a presentation on harm reduction in the Partywise program. And one of those nights I went, that was in Miami, Florida, by the way, I went to the club and she was selling CDs at that bar, at the gay bars. Okay, and she would perform in there, and I saw her and I had no clue who she was or anything. At that moment, I think not everyone knew. Like she was more like a New York or whatever, Miami,
Stephanie Germanotti. Okay, whatever.
But anyways, just wanted to share that. Sorry.
Oh, Roger's trying to age
us.
Well, in 2007, Roger, I was 16, so I couldn't have seen her in a bar.
In 2007, I was 9.
Oh, okay.
I was 20. Like, does that help at all? I was
20. No, I was being mean and catty. I don't But yeah, kind of switching from Lady Gaga, similar idea of like really supporting artists. I think I saw on Twitter, Chica, she's a rapper, a black rapper, is kind of saying she's getting out of it because she doesn't like the way people are being treating her. She doesn't feel that it's a healthy environment to be in. Then Cardi B came on and said like, no, do this for your fans, keep pushing. It gets hard, it gets rough, but you did this. And I think, the idea of artists being worried about their art because we're so used to them being just kind of capitalists putting out product.
Yeah.
Demi Lovato. As opposed to giving us art that was like something that they truly believed in. Sometimes, you know, it's disheartening. So Art Pop 2, Lady Gaga, if you love it, do it. Do it. Your fans will be there. And this is for every artist. If you're an artist or a musician or anything, you do something and you love it, share it. Share it out to the world.
Yeah, celebrity is the thing that ruins art. The celebrity aspect of art. And, you know, it becomes a job necessarily for individuals.
Yeah,
If you're the
I think-
celebrity, just keep creating content.
Yeah, I've seen that happen to quite a few artists. Like, I don't know if you're all familiar with Cupcake. She's quit like rapping like 2 or 3 times just because she's gotten such horrible like backlash and bullying from people, you know, from being maybe a bit bigger than what most of her contemporaries are, or darker than some of her contemporaries. And it's like really, really harsh. I've seen some of the criticisms Chica's been getting, and Chica's a much better rapper than most of the famous female rappers right now. She spits poetry. So poetry.
Well, thank you all so much. That is the end of our What's Poppin'. This was probably one of my favorite What's Poppins that we've had in a while. I love my Link team. They'll be back next week and it'll be just as great. We are going to take one more commercial break and we'll be right back.
Hey guys, Ty here from APLA Health, and I got some good news for you.
APLA Health is launching our first ever at-home HIV testing initiative.
As we battle the global pandemic of COVID-19 and all that it entails,
APLA Health is doing what we can to fill the gaps for those who are in need of knowing their status, linking to care, and having safer sex options.
The initiative, officially known as Swab and Chill, will be our virtual hub for those seeking to take an HIV test, receive HIV kits, link it to medical care for those who are HIV positive, while also having access to several other programs and services that specialize in harm reduction for HIV infection.
Such services include PrEP and PEP information, as well as substance abuse services. Our goal with Swab and Chill is to make HIV testing easily accessible and easy to use within the comfort of your own home.
We provide each client with the Aura Quick at-home testing kit. This kit is a simple test that is done by orally swabbing the gums and waiting 20 minutes for your results.
APLA staff is available to virtually assist you while taking the test, while providing resources and support for those who may test positive.
maybe you already know your status and you're just low on condoms and lube due to accessibility. No problem. We can also send you one of our safer sex kits right to your front door.
As we strive to keep our community safer and well informed, your privacy is also a high priority.
All packaging will appear from APLA Health. Our over-the-phone assessments are quick, easy, and secure, so you can feel safe in sharing your results with us and asking any questions that you may have.
If you or someone that you know is interested in having one of our at-home testing kits mailed to you, or you just want more information on what Swab and Chill we provide, please call one of our team members at 323-329-9713, or just email us.
Come swab and chill with 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 us.
And we are back. Roger can never just come back. Always has to be answered. We are back. We had to give you a swap and chill commercial, y'all. You know we
I
had to.
love hearing Daniel J say, "Come swap and chill with us." I love hearing their voice on the link.
My favorite's Rogelio still.
Your hair is so long now. Remember?
I know,
When I
Rogelio.
saw the video, I was like, oh my God. Yes. Yeah. It's beautiful, by the way. I miss my curls. Just wait.
Just going back, Roger. So we have only a short amount of time left, but before we go, I wanted to do one more thing, just because I am going to have all three of you back. And I wanted to kind of prep the conversation so when people join us back next time, they kind of know what mindset to be in. So my question for all of you is, in a minute, say one thing or say something that you wish people understood about substance use and substance users that maybe they don't understand, or like a misconception.
I can go.
Okay.
A lot of times people think that the substance user is a selfish person to, that don't care about anybody else and that really do this just for fun. And you said it really quick, but many times people use substance use as a tool to survive. And a lot of people don't get that. So I guess I'm going to stop there.
I mean, explain if you want. Go for it, Roger.
I mean, it's just, and then we ignore, for example, housing and other things that are necessary for people to deal, effectively with their substance use. And we just blame people for their drug use, but we're not looking at other factors that actually took them there in the first place. So, that's it.
Great.
I would say that a misconception I see a lot is that individuals who utilize substances don't care about their well-being. Well-being and health, both mental and physical, you have to take in a lot of components to get a good judgment on that. But individuals who engage in substance use, specifically that I'm knowledgeable of crystal methamphetamine, sometimes as a way to deal with other aspects of their life that are ailing them, as opposed and not having access to resources pertinent to the issue that they're dealing with. So we turn to substance use. So there's this misconception a lot of the times that people who use drugs don't care about themselves, and it might be the only way that they know how to care about themselves.
I would just like to say, I think when we look at substance use and stuff, I think everyone has their vices. I think some people's are just more socially acceptable, and some people do what they got to do to be able to cope with living life, because life is hard. So don't take away, like, people who use substances are still human, and a lot of the negative effects people associate with them are due to socioeconomic status. There's some really high functioning drug users that you've seen that like look totally normally fine.
Yes, but add to that, most of the time, those drug users, functional drug users that Nigel was talking about, are normally the people that have to deal with their addiction for so long until there is no coming back, because either they had an overdose or something really bad happened to them, right? And they're sometimes a lot of times they are the most difficult people to talk about their substance use, because they don't want to hear from anybody. They don't want to talk to anybody about it because they are functional. They don't have a problem. That's the way they feel about it, right? And I just wanted to add that alcohol also is a drug, that it causes addiction, and a lot of times we believe that just because it's legal, it doesn't. And so I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. Billy, did you have something to say?
It was just that functional users, like, one extra component to that is like it shatters the veneer of what you think your life is. If you're functioning and hiding something, potentially like substance use, individuals tend to hide that because it's not socially acceptable to utilize methamphetamine every day so that you have the energy to go to your job and to have the attention span associated with the work that you're doing.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah, that's actually all of the really, really great points. And I think kind of one thing that all of you kind of touched on is this idea of addiction, on what we can be addicted to. Sometimes, we all like to say, oh, I'm addicted to this, I'm addicted to this. But really, addiction is an issue, and we can be addicted to different things. Caffeine intoxication is a real diagnosis. It is a real thing. You can have too much caffeine and you can be addicted to it. Alcohol, for a lot of people that don't know, is one of the hardest things to quit. And quitting cold turkey for alcohol could actually kill you.
100%.
That's how it sounds. But because it's socially acceptable, think how often you go out when you drink. I had a doctor's appointment once, and she told me anything more than 5 drinks at a single kind of sitting or in a single day is a warning sign for substance use. When you go out to West Hollywood and you hang out with your friends, you're drinking more than 5 drinks. We know it. It's happening.
Not familiar.
But that was,
I don't know what you're talking about.
but that's a wonderful kind of taste. So if you are interested in more of this, what these 3 gentlemen do in their programs, please join us, not next week, the week after next, Also, don't forget Trans Connections. They are having a special episode this Friday at 1 p.m. here for their National Trans Testing Day. I've said the name wrong, but there it is.
May I say something else?
Of course.
Real quick. So just want to remind people watching that our programs are harm reduction based programs. And so we work with people where they are. If you're still using any substances and you just want to talk about it and you want to see what options you might have to work on whatever you want to work with, we're here to support you. So I just want to put that out there. We're not treatment, we're not recovery. We're just going to help you get to whatever you want to get.
Well, thank you three once again. I will see you all tomorrow in the office. And you all have a wonderful Tuesday.
Thanks, Kai.
Bye.
Bye.